All right, today's guest has nothing but 5-star Google business reviews. He is a decorated CrossFit athlete and father to June, the sweetest Great Dane you'll ever meet. Today, we're looking at Vancouver through the eyes of Dr. Alfredo Petrone, chiropractor and owner of Coastal Life Wellness, located in downtown Vancouver. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is about real estate and living in Vancouver, subscribe below. Welcome to my weekly series, Vancouver Through My Eyes, where I interview a local Vancouverite and we talk about what it's like to live, work, play, and invest in Vancouver. Tap the bell for notifications to be the first to hear insight from our latest guest and keep current on all things Vancouver real estate. My name is Megan Becker, local realtor. I'm passionate about our city and helping people make moves within it. So give me a call, text, or email, and I'm excited to help you make moves in the best city in Canada. Alfredo, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being here.
Hey, Meg. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk about my city that I live in and chat with you a bit. And yeah.
Absolutely. Well, maybe let's start off first. You are not originally from Vancouver. Give everyone a little overview of where you grew up, where you're from, and how you found your spot here in Vancouver.
Sure. Yeah. I'm originally from Hamilton, Ontario. That's where I was born and raised. And then I moved all over Ontario for school mostly. So I lived in Ottawa for my undergrad. And then I lived in Australia for a little bit. Then I moved to Toronto for my graduate school. And after graduating, I actually moved to Vancouver Island from Toronto. And I lived in Nanaimo for a few years. And from there, I decided to move to Vancouver. And so that was, what year are we in? So that was about 6 years ago now that I made the move from Nanaimo to Vancouver, and have now since made Vancouver more my long-term place to live, especially as an adult now. So
Awesome.
That's kind of my background and where I've lived over the years, I guess.
Cool. So you went to school, chiropractor. What was it specifically that drew you to Vancouver? Because you obviously didn't go to school here. So what was it about here specifically?
Well, it was a little bit of a combination of curiosity, like just wanting to try living in a different part of Canada. I've always heard good things about the West Coast. And as a chiropractor, my license is national, so I'm able to practice throughout Canada. And yeah, it was just kind of like on a limb. I wanted to try living on the West Coast and see what it would be like. And I just fell in love probably the second I got here, and decided that this would be like the place that I wanted to live and start a career and establish myself and kind of set roots down. So the reason was kind of like on a whim and from what I've heard and what I've seen. And then I just packed everything up and moved out here and wanted to explore it. And here we are 9 years later now.
Awesome. So obviously moving out here as well as starting a brand new business, not easy feats there. Maybe if you can elaborate a little bit on that, because I've got other clients that are planning on relocating here and they're wanting to buy businesses of various different industries. And so maybe shed a little bit of light on what it was like moving to a new city as well as, buying and starting a new business.
Yeah, so when I moved here, I didn't start my business right away. I was still working as an associate doctor for a couple years. And then I wanted to transition into opening up my own business. I was actually at one point looking for more of like a live work like place.
Yeah.
There's not very many of them in Vancouver. They're like very few and far between. And the locations just weren't right for me. So anyways, I decided to like just open up my own practice. And one of the things that I found about opening a business in Vancouver, there's lots of, it goes with any business or city. There's lots of kind of hoops to jump through and things like that. But it's a city where it has like a lot of people doing a lot of things and being very active. So especially being in the healthcare field and in like the realm of like helping people move and feel good and be less pain. It's one of the things that really drew me to like expanding my business and getting into this whole like wellness and not just chiropractic, but with
Right.
massage and physio and everything. It's a city that people want to keep moving. They want to do work. They want to be outside. They work very hard at their jobs. It's expensive to live here, and so they want to be able to like get up and enjoy it and to be outside, to go hiking, to go swimming. And so you have people who are a little bit more motivated to get healthy, which was good for my business because that's
Yeah.
what my business is. More so than other places that I've worked and practiced in my life. That's one of the things that kind of drew me here. Yeah, and so that's why I kind of wanted to like start my own business and then expand it to really, perpetuate the values that I have in my life and my health to people in Vancouver.
Yeah, I think that's really fitting because that was one of the reasons why I was attracted to this city is I'm super active and I love the lifestyle. And so, yeah, looking at it from a business standpoint, it only makes sense. There's a huge demand of very active people in the city. So your clinic is downtown, and I know you live in Olympic Village. Have you always lived in Olympic Village when you lived in Vancouver? Or?
Yeah, so when I moved here, I was fortunate enough to be able to buy a property. So once I bought my property in Olympic Village, there's not like a huge desire for me to move. I think Olympic Village is one of the biggest like hidden gems and like best neighborhoods in my opinion for Vancouver. Just because of its location, like kind of slightly on the outside of downtown, but like walkable. Like it's just a 10-minute walk over the bridge and you're over in Yaletown. But it doesn't have that same kind of like hustle and bustle of some of the other neighborhoods like Yaletown or the West End. It does get busier during like tourist season, as all of Vancouver does.
Yeah.
But overall, it's kind of like I feel like it's like this hidden little like community here, and it's all quite new. And so aesthetically, it's very, very nice. Like the buildings are brand new. The people are super friendly. There's like a big range of like, types of people here, from like older people to like young families, young professionals. And it's been the neighborhood that I chose when I was kind of looking through the city and where I wanted to live. It was attractive to me for many reasons: location, its access to the seawall. As you said, I have a large dog, and several years ago, I had another large dog. So getting out to walk every day is important for me, and that's kind of like why I chose this area to, not have to walk through like concrete jungles, but more like on a beautiful seawall with like parks and things super close by, like, a 1-minute walk and I'm on the seawall. So.
You bet. You mentioned June, who I absolutely adore.
Yeah.
I know that a lot of stratas either, they've got some type of pet restrictions, whether it's the number of pets, the size of pets is really the most common one. So did you have any trouble when you were shopping for a place, finding something that would accommodate? I know you didn't have June when you first moved, but you said you had another larger size dog.
Yeah, my last dog was a Bernese Mountain Dog, so she was like very similar, like 80, 90 pounds. So yeah, it's actually funny because it was one of the things I wasn't used to coming from Ontario, where like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's been so many years since I've lived there. But at the time, there's no restrictions on pets. Like landlords can't really like restrict you in stratas, or I never really looked for a house in Ontario, but it wasn't really like a restriction that you could have on people. It could be a preference, but not like a restriction.
Yeah.
And so moving to BC, I was a little bit like surprised by that, especially because like everyone here has a dog, it feels like. I personally didn't come across like much challenges challenges with that. I think that like a lot of like the stratas, I mean, it was one of the obvious like things I gave my realtor at the time, but a lot of the stratas seem to have like pretty good rules for allowing pets. Some of the things that were like a little bit more crazy to me were like there was a lot of like size restrictions. So sometimes they would like
Yeah.
allow an animal, but it had to be like under 20 pounds or under 30 pounds. And like I can like swing my camera over, you can see like my dog is just like passed out right now, and she's probably the biggest dog in the building.
She's like the same size as me.
Yeah. Yeah. So I didn't find it an issue. I think there was like lots of options for pet friendly places to live. But again, it's been like 6 years since I've looked for a place. But yeah, I mean, I would hope that like stratas are becoming more aware that people have pets, and it's yeah.
Yeah,
It
it's
was
definitely
never
one
an
of the
issue for
things. I always ask clients as soon as we sit down, how many members of the family, how many pets, what are we looking at?
Yeah.
Because yeah, a lot of them have some types of restrictions. They allow them, but it usually is a size if they have something. So it's always good to be aware of that. But maybe tell me a little bit about, the lifestyle of having a pet here. Because one of the things that I fell in love with when I moved here is how dog friendly the whole entire city is. Not only, strata's mostly allowing pets, but also restaurants and coffee shops and, even kind of outside pubs and things like that. What are some of your and June's favorite things to do?
Yeah, I think it's such a good pet friendly city for the most part. And I also feel like the city has like over the past few years since COVID become even more pet friendly, which is very helpful to me. So some of my like favorite spots are spots that I can go sit on a patio, especially in the summer months, like go sit on a patio with June so that I can bring my dog with me um, and enjoy like some of the beautiful parts of the city. Even some of like the dog beaches that are they're not as maybe as nice as like some of the like non-dog beaches, but a lot of the areas are like very dog friendly. You can bring your dog. It seems that there's so many dogs in Vancouver, so there's like a good community of dogs. There's for Great Danes, there's like a whole like Vancouver Great Danes like WhatsApp group that like we have where we like do meetups and stuff. And so
Oh, that's cute.
I think like living with a yeah. So I think like living with the dog in the city is the city, in my opinion, is like really well set up for it because of the number of like free dog parks that they have. I'm not sure if you've seen the new one on Cooper's Park that's like across the campus. So that like just opened, and it's one of my favorite parks to bring June to, and they've just done an amazing new renovation there, and it's so nice to like have those spaces to like bring your dog, let them run around, let them interact with other dogs. Not only that, but like having, like I said, like one of the reasons I picked Olympic Village is having that seawall to walk on, so that we're not just walking on like streets with like buildings at our side. Is like almost anywhere in the city, it's very close to get to the seawall and then have a nice like walk with your dog. And dogs are a lot of time, a lot of energy. You have to walk them like several times a day, depending on like the breed and the age and stuff. And so you want to be able to like enjoy those walks and not just be like walking to a stoplight to stand there to like cross the street to walk to another stoplight. Like that's never the type of dog walking I wanted to have, because you're doing it so often. Like maybe it's okay for like a weekend or something if you're traveling, but yeah. So it's honestly, it's a great city to have a dog because of how accessible like all these features are: the seawall, the dog park, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's switch gears a little bit back to business, because obviously one of the things that I love about the city is how much opportunity is here. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of different industries, especially compared to maybe some other cities in Canada. So tell me a little bit about, obviously moving to a new city. I know you didn't open up your business right away, but tell me a little bit about the journey of actually growing your client base in your business, how you did that in and amongst being new in a city and having to network and meet people as well.
Mhm. Yeah, so that's a great question. I think that one of the things that I has also like drawn and kept me in Vancouver is it almost has this like small town vibe, um, but it's obviously like a big metropolitan city, and so I find like it's very easy to talk with other business owners to get referrals. Just go out there and like and meet other people, whether mostly for me, it's within the same industry, but even within other industries, like supplement companies and, like Body Energy Club, I had some great chats with like the owners of that business. And so, Vancouver's like business scene is very friendly. It's very welcoming, especially like in a city where like there's so much money and there's so much like corporate money. The
Yeah.
small business scene is very friendly, very welcoming, very supportive, and it's generally quite easy to like meet other business owners, especially within your field, and connect with them. Um, you know, get advice from them, see how they did things. For me, like the CrossFit gym, like our gym, 604, it was one of the bigger like ways for me to like meet people, establish myself, like meet other people with small businesses.
Yeah.
I'm also quite involved with our like provincial association for chiropractors of BC, which has been another way that I've met a lot of people and gotten out there to understand like some of them, the harder things about business that you don't really learn in school, or you just learn from being out there doing. So yeah, I found it was like a great support system in Vancouver, to like reach out to people who were in a similar boat. Because like I said, you are kind of competing sometimes with these like really big businesses.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a nice like place, um, to build a business, because I also feel like Vancouver and it is very like it's people like don't want to venture too far from their like little bubble. So if you can provide a great like service or a great product, for like a specific community, like within that bubble or within that neighborhood, um, people are going to want to come back and be very loyal to you, because they're like, you know they don't want to go across the bridge to get to the other chiropractor that's over there. They want like a
Right.
good chiropractor, a good massage therapist that's like close to work or close to home. Because my view is that with this city, it's like you want to like enjoy the city and the outdoors and the scenery and the mountains and the hiking and the ocean. Like you want to enjoy all that. So you don't want to spend like the like half an hour driving to an appointment to then sit at the appointment to drive half an hour home, and like sit and like waste your time kind of doing all that.
Yeah.
Whereas my experience in Toronto was like very opposite of that. It's like, no, like I would travel like a half an hour to go to the doctor, half an hour to this
Hmm.
appointment. In a city, especially that's just like Toronto, for example, where you kind of have to like drive around everywhere, but
Yeah.
Vancouver is like you can kind of walk anywhere and everywhere because it's such a small geographic city, that like yeah establishing yourself in a community and just serving that community really well, I think, um, is how you build a great business in Vancouver. And like there's so many great little communities all over that wherever you decide to go, it's just building within that community. And sorry to ramble on here, but one of the other things is like, I'm a chiropractic and wellness office. I'm in a like an established medical building like in center of downtown Vancouver, and we have like another chiropractor's office like across the hall from me, on the same floor, as
Oh,
well as
wow.
other like massage and physio like within the same building. And it was never like a hostile like environment when we moved in to that space. It was always like welcoming, like there's enough people to serve and to have like enough chiropractors and massage therapists and whatever for. And so I found it like a very like welcoming, just like community to build and start a business in.
That's a great mindset to look at, because especially if people are moving from maybe a smaller city that obviously doesn't have as much people, you can sometimes look at competition in a very different way. I actually found that very similar with being in real estate here. Going to a city that has a lot more realtors, but then there's a lot more people, and you're going to choose to work with the people that you connect with and that you have similar values and things like that. So it's a great point that you brought up there.
Exactly.
Maybe last, I would love to hear, obviously you talk about this lifestyle of Vancouver. Like, what does that mean for you? Obviously you enjoy getting out with June, but what are some of the other favorite summer, winter, whatever time of year activities that you enjoy doing here that you're not used to, even maybe on the island or back in Ontario?
Yeah, so like some of my like personal favorite things, going to like just general lifestyle. I kind of already mentioned it. I love being able to walk everywhere. Like I have a car, but I call it like a fun car. Like I don't drive like on a daily basis. Like I don't need to, because I like everything is so close. It's walkable for me, and so that's one of the greatest things that like I love. I love walking. I love being able to like pop on my headphones, listen to a podcast, a book, or just music and like kill time. It's a very walkable city, and so that's one of the great things for me. In the winter, I'm a snowboarder. Like having access to Whistler, that's an hour and a half, 2 hours away, and it's one of the most beautiful like ski resorts in the world. It's like every time I'm always like, Whistler's so expensive. It's so expensive. It's so expensive. Lift tickets, accommodation, but then I get there and like I hit some runs on the mountain, and you're just like, this is why it's so worth it. Like how many people in the world get to experience this in their backyard? And we have some great local mountains as well for snowboarding and skiing, and so I love doing that kind of stuff in the winter. The hiking. I like, there's a lot of like hikers in Vancouver. I don't consider myself like a huge hiker by any means, but I do love getting out and a half-hour drive from the city, and you could be at a mountain doing a beautiful, hike of any difficulty too. Like from the easiest, like an hour and a half walk like Dog Mountain, or getting into some of the more challenging ones like Garibaldi. It meets like any of your like expertise levels, and you can always like start small and continue to go up. And there's just so much to like explore and discover like in the surrounding or greater Vancouver area, that it almost seems like overwhelming, or like that there's endless possibilities to just get out and explore. Then I guess my final thing I love doing is just sitting at the beach, being able to go to like Wreck Beach or like Third Beach, or a couple of my favorite beaches, to just like hang out and be like in the sand, and able to like jump into like water that's usually pretty cold, but just being able to like have that kind of like ocean air and like beaches. And it's always crazy. Like I was at Wreck Beach yesterday, and like you're walking into the water, and then like looking over at the mountains, and you can still see like the snow top on some of the higher mountains, and it's like you're like sweating and hot and in the ocean and looking at snow, and it's just like, there's not a lot of places in the world you can do something like that, and it's like in your backyard and accessible and always there.
Yeah, it's a pretty surreal city when you kind of sit back and take it all in. Hey.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate your time, and I think you share a really great perspective just with living with a dog, which I know so many people here do, and owning and starting a business here. And I guess my last question is what's the best way that people can support you? And maybe a second question off of that is like, what is your ideal client, the type of people that you love helping?
Yeah, so I think if people are looking for help, especially chiropractors can be a little bit like intimidating. People don't really understand or maybe know what we do, especially if you haven't had experience with one. I always say that the best like way to like get help or seek help if you need it is to just reach out to me. I manage all of our like social media accounts. So my personal one, which I'll share with you, and our business one, I manage all of that. I think the best way is if you're looking for a chiropractor, or if you have pain, or you're living with especially neck and back pain. That's my areas of expertise: neck pain, back pain, and headaches, disc injuries as well. Having been through one myself, a pretty significant disc herniation in my back. Those are the things I like to help people with, and to make people feel comfortable with the whole process of what it means to like see a chiropractor, and really kind of educate and explain like what we're going to do. The YouTube and the TikTok videos that are out there are very like small representation of what actually happens. It can sometimes be a little bit scary. But essentially, it's mostly about helping you meet whatever goals you have, whether that's to get you out of pain or to get you more active. Like I said earlier, kind of coastal life wellness for me is being able to live that coastal lifestyle. And so that means that we're able to continue to walk 12 months a year, whether it's a little bit rainy or whatever, bike ride, mountain bike, hike, ski, snowboard, kayak, swim, all of that's in our playground, and it's right there for us. And so I kind of see like coastal life and chiropractic as being able to help people continue to do that. So that kind of feeds into what my ideal client is: people that are active, moving, that understand that their bodies need movement for health. And ideally that they have some sort of goal in mind of what they want, not to just necessarily get out of pain. I mean, I help a lot of people with that as well, but to have a goal of maybe like, I want to excel at this in the gym, or be able to ride my bike for an hour without back pain or my neck flaring up or things like that. Is kind of who I typically work with. I say that my practice is full of like the desk jockeys. And so that's people usually who are like sitting at a desk on their computer, or working from home or from office. And then outside of that, I see a lot of like athletes, so people who go to the gym regularly. And I have a really special focus with pregnant moms, actually. I did a lot of extra postdoc work with pregnancy and prenatal care. So love seeing and helping moms navigate through their pregnancy, especially if it's their first.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, yeah, I will put all of your contact info and links in the description box below, but we'll wrap things up there. So thanks so much, Alfredo, for joining me, and thank you guys all for watching. I love helping people make moves within our city here, but my second favorite thing to do is connect the incredible people within it. My goal with this series, again, is to highlight what it's like to live, work, play, and invest in Vancouver. And so if you know anyone who shares a unique perspective on this incredible city, I'd be so grateful if you could connect me with them. All my info is in the description box below. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to this video, and I'll see you next week, where I'll be back with another interesting guest.